In this video, we're going to talk about a iterative development and adoption process for digital twins. This process doesn't just apply to digital twins, but it can be applied to pretty much any digital transformation projects. We've been, using this process for the last several years now, and it's very successful. So we would like to introduce this process to the industry. So first, let's talk about the challenge we're solving. Everybody knows that digital transformation success is very difficult. This is because if you think about, converting a traditional type of, work environment into digital, there's just a lot of unknowns at the start, right? So you don't know all the business value you're going to get out of the transformation. And today is actually increasingly difficult to get users to adopt digital products because there are just so many of them. Users get pretty tired. So it's very hard to engage them in the adoption process. And because of the low success rate, even executives today are skeptical of what comes out of this digital transformation projects. I think they understand the importance of doing this digital transformation projects, but they also understand that the success rate is low, which means that they're skeptical, and that means getting support is difficult from the top level. And because of these things, we've been experimenting a particular way of implementing digital projects. And this is what we want to talk about here. We call it the bottom-up rapid iterative process. Bottom-up simply means that you wanted to really narrow down something to get started. Maybe you want to achieve a single objective. Maybe you want to select a part of your process to be digitized, but keep it small and focused. Rapid means that you want to do it fast. If it takes too long to develop the product or solution, then chances are it's much more likely to fail. Iterative means that you wanted to work with a user in a iteration process. This is because nobody really knows all the answers at the start of a digital project, and you wanted to find that out through a iterative process. Not only you will discover the business value of the project, but also you'll see that you will gain engagement and commitment from the users through this process. So let's use a example. This is a project, a real project we've been working on with one of our customers. The goal is to build a digital twin solution to monitor drilling equipment. For those of you who know something about drilling, you know that drilling is a very tough operation, which means that equipment works in a very tough environment. They break down a lot, and whenever they break down, it costs money, both for fixing the equipment, but also for the downtime. In addition, today is getting very hard to hire talented operational team members. This means that they don't understand the equipment as well, and it's harder for them to maintain the equipment at high level. So the solution is to build a digital twin to model this all the drilling equipment in real time. By doing so, the idea is that now we can build all the domain knowledge into this digital twin, and also the digital twin can give instructions to new members of the operational team. So the idea is very good, but really nobody has a clear idea of exactly what kind of value this digital twins could produce. So as you can see, this is very typical digital project, right? You don't know all the answers, you know that you want to go in this direction because obviously eventually digital is going to take over everything. But it's a unclear path for every company that's doing this type of projects. So what's the best way to do this? So number one, what we've done is we worked with our customer together with their essentially, you can call them the central IT team together on a prototype solution. And we focused on one particular asset class. We didn't go for the half a dozen different type of assets on the, on the rig altogether. We didn't try to do such a big project. We started with a small project focusing on mud pumps. Mud pumps, are very expensive. They range from couple $100,000 to multi-million dollars, and they pump mud out of the ground. So they break down the most as compared to all the other equipment on the rig, which means that there's a lot of value to the project if we can figure out how to properly monitor mud pump and predict failures and guide the operators to replace components in the mud pump. So this is the bottom-up approach, right? Pick something, show value to the stakeholders, and then go from there. And we wanted to do this fast. So, basically it's a 1 month project from, getting the data, cleaning the data, building the dashboards, to show the insights. And we kept it pretty simple. Essentially, we allowed the field team to see what the vibration sensors are saying about different components on the pump, what's the pressure, what's the strokes per minute. It sounds very basic, but, I think even just the basic visibility a lot of times can generate a lot of value for the field team because the field team may not have those visibility before the digital solution. And at the end of the 1 month, we interviewed with field teams just to ask them, hey, do you like this? Keep in mind, this is the first version. We're just gathering feedback. Let us know. And the field team gave a lot of good ideas. One of the good ideas, for example, was that, hey, today we track the replacement of the components with a tally book, right? Basically, pen and paper is not accurate, and it's error prone. It would be really cool if we could keep track of the component maintenance and inspection information in a table, and we can get reminded when we need to replace the components. Sounds pretty simple, right? But that's not something we realized is a valuable thing for the field team. It also was not realized by the customers' IT team. Only through this interaction with the field team, we understood just tracking the components digitally is something they value a lot. So we added this table in, and immediately several field teams said that just because it's one feature, they're going to use this. And so we start to get some support from the field team in going forward with a pilot, right? So the next step is to go through that pilot with basically the field teams who said they like this feature. And that's another 1 month process, very fast, right? Basically 4 weeks. Every week, we sit down with the field team, we look at, what's changed, and we ask them for feedback. And they would tell us what they need, how they want it to look. And then we make the changes really fast. And by the, next meeting, we go through the feedback process again. So we go through that over 4 weeks, and effectively, the way that the solution looks is what the field team want. And you can notice there's some new changes here. This is a logbook. A logbook means that the field team can actually directly put in component replacement and maintenance information, and then this information goes into our database. And so this, they can track what components are replaced, and there's even a history here. Only part of this table is shown, but you can click on it. It shows you when you replace a particular component, who replaced it, etc. So that iteration, I think, not only made the solution much more useful, but very importantly, it gained engagement and commitment from the users. When the users see that their feedback are taken seriously and changes are done on a weekly basis, you can tell that their attitude just changes. they become a lot more engaged. They wanted to put in their ideas into the solution, which means that you're getting a lot of domain expertise put into the solution directly from the field team. And by the end of it, it's a solution that they design effectively. So they're much more committed to it. And then they not only would, there's a much higher chance of them saying this is a useful solution for them, but also they would actually turn out they would recommend this to other field teams. So this is a very useful iteration process and rapid iteration process. And we think this is the key to digital transformation success, adoption success. And of course, after the iteration process is a scaling process, right? So now we can go from 2 rigs to 30 rigs. And a lot of the rigs, they heard about it from the field teams that was involved in the solution development. They actually reached out to the IT department to request a solution. That's pretty incredible. And there are a couple other interesting things that happen. One of them is basically as more field team adopt the solution, we have more data. So we label, all the data whenever field team perform maintenance activities, whenever they replace a sensor, we record all of the data. And you'll see for the next step, this is something very, very useful. But at the same time, we can also start to track how much money they're saving by using the digital twin to predict failures and guide the field team in performing operations. And so this essentially validates the value of the solution. So the customer completely understand what's the value they're getting out of it. So now, armed with all that knowledge, the customer knows that how much value there is in the solution, and they're very encouraged to go to the next step, which is building advanced analytics. So there's a couple of advanced analytics here. One of them is the smart alarms. So the smart alarms is basically using the existing data, correlate between them, and then generate smart instructions for the field team to follow. And the other one is machine learning. So machine learning, AI, everybody talks about it, but without sort of a solid understanding of how the AI can help the solution, they fail a lot. So in this case, we understood that component, replacement is a very important and cost-effective feature in the digital twin. We actually built an AI model to predict failures of the components based on the operational data like pressure and strokes per minute, mod volume, et cetera, et cetera. Turn out we produced a very highly accurate model, which means that the field team would replace the components only when they are about to fail, but before they fail. So this, essentially increases the life of the components, reduces failure. So we added that machine learning solution there, and then we added a lot of automation solution, automatically generating ticketing when something fails, automatically generate weekly or daily reports to the field teams. And finally, all this data we've gathered, we've transformed and unified, we start to open that up to other teams in the company to use. So there's BI, data science and BI teams that would now be able to use this data to enhance their work. So you can see how step by step, we're able to make this solution more and more useful, not only for the field team, but now start to become useful to other teams in the company. So what happens next? Well, now that our customer understands what's exactly the impact and value of the mod pump twin, they are very eager to add top drives, diesel engines, and may even expand outside of the equipment into other operational monitoring And this all comes from a very rapid development process on the mud pump. So it is very important to to do this type of development process. In summary, digital transformation is very, very hard. There's a lot of unknown at the start of a digital project, but we figure out something that we think is very useful, and it increases the success rate by a lot. And if you think about those three things, they're actually quite simple, right? So basically what you want to do is you want to start small, focused, but you want it to move fast, right? And you wanted to iterate with the end users and the stakeholders, because that's a way that you can discover value in a process that's not completely known at the start. And that's also a process where you can really win the commitment of the users. So we are very curious what your thoughts are on this process. Please let us know. Thank you.